migrant groups leaving the state of Florida is not unprecedented, so we know what the results are going to be. On today's video, we're going to talk about the new immigration law in the state of Florida. In 2016, when the presidential elections were determined, a lot of people that were in the state of Florida illegally decided to leave. So this isn't some unprecedented thing that we don't know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen because we just went through this not that long ago. Did rents go down because now all these people left? No, they didn't. While these units were vacant, the owners went in, remodeled them, and then put them back on the market for more than what they were renting for before. Back around 2016, the vast majority of people that left the United States were Mexican. As soon as the Mexican population moved out, the Guatemalan population moved in. The Guatemalan population was much more illiterate, much more unskilled, and simply had much less possibilities to get ahead than the Mexican community that left. Did hardworking American families move to trailer parks and impoverished communities where these immigrant communities were living? No, absolutely not. These neighborhoods went from bad to worse when these people left. The vast majority of people with criminal records, predators, registered offenders, and other people in society that are marginalized remain in these neighborhoods because they were U.S. citizens. Pay attention to the legend as you're going to need it. Pomona Park, Suncoast Estates. There's a neighborhood called Rosemary in Bonita Springs. They got a few houses there. Lots of homeless predators and offenders near Florida City and Homestead. Belle Glade and South Bay near Pahokee also have a huge concentration. Check out this one street in Lakeland, Florida. Palmetto near Bradenton, Florida. What was left behind was still all the registered offenders, people with criminal records, and other people in society who haven't done much for themselves. Let's be honest, if you're a U.S. citizen and you live in a community that is mostly illegals, chances are you're not doing very well. Imagine when you create vacancies for lower income people. I would still not move to those communities because the U.S. citizens that are living in those communities are registered offenders, addicts, criminals, and other people marginalized by society, and I'm not going to put the safety of my family in jeopardy by moving into these communities. So the notion that these neighborhoods are going to become better places, it's not exactly going to make this the best place to live. So now the illegal immigrants are gone, so I can move into this neighborhood. The illegals were the ones that were going to work. We already saw what happened to Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. When the Mexican communities left, other groups moved in that were even worse than what was there before. Now you've had homicides happen in these neighborhoods that before had never happened. Now you have addiction. Crap, I've even seen homeless people in Bonita Springs. Before 2016, that was completely unheard of. What the crap happened to Bonita Springs? Perkins closed. What on earth has happened to Bonita Springs, man? And every other car gives these beggars money. Went to crap, y'all. About to buy a moon rock. And by the way, before 2016, you couldn't find a homeless person in Naples or Bonita Springs if you tried. But analytically, according to statistics that are out there, there's actually less homeless people now than there were back then. That makes a lot of sense. So we can't really rely on these quote-unquote statistics that we're getting because the reality on the ground we know doesn't correlate with what we're seeing. Here's the other question. Are people going to get paid more money now that these illegal immigrants are gone? I don't know about you, but as long as I've lived in the United States of America, if you're cutting grass or installing roof or doing dishwasher work or any other job that sucks, you're usually the bottom of the barrel regardless. That's not really an occupation I'm striving to do. I've had homeless people tell me that once these illegal immigrants leave, they'll be able to get paid more for jobs. You'll do roofing?
No.
No?
I don't do roofing.
The unemployment rate right now is the lowest it's ever been, so I really don't understand why you don't have a job right now regardless. Going back to 2016, when the immigrant groups left the state of Florida, we did not see incomes improve for the bottom of society. In fact, incomes actually got worse. And this isn't my opinion, this is analytical. Here are the analytics. You can see that around 2016, the Hispanic community in Naples, Florida actually started to make less money than what they were making before. That was because of anti-Hispanic sentiment. The paying customer actually doubled down on the remaining Latino community that was legal and paid them less and treated them worse simply because their sentiment was anti-Hispanic. So don't think that now this is happening and if you're poor, you're going to have more job opportunities. The paying customer is actually going to double down and expect things for even cheaper. And again, going back to 2016 and 2017, incomes did not go up. Jobs did not pay more. So yes, these houses that are going to hit the market and these vacancies that are going to come up are only going to encourage investors. This isn't going to create more jobs and better paying opportunities. What it's going to create is opportunity for investors to grab up a few properties that are going to hit the market. This new law will benefit investors, it will benefit contractors, and it will benefit people who pull permits and do higher up construction jobs. In what world do laws benefit the poor? Again, this is not some uncharted, unnavigated terrain. We've already been here. Who it did not benefit? Unskilled workers, people who are already unemployed. Those types of people are not going to be able to use this for their advantage because these laws are going to be taken advantage mostly primarily by people who have a lot of net worth. And people who have a lot of net worth are not going to get pushed around by homeless people who are lazy and don't want to work, or people who are unemployed during the time period where the unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been. You were born here, you speak the language, this is your freaking country, and you're fighting for jobs of illegal immigrants. Let me tell you, you're not a very bright individual. Even getting a job at McDonald's requires that your paperwork is in order, which means you're not even competing for a McDonald's job. Well, he's got my job. And somebody who doesn't speak English, doesn't have a driver's license, and doesn't know how to read and write is able to take your job. Let me tell you, man, you have made some stupid decisions in your lifetime. Don't expect investors and contractors to feel pity for you being a failure. So if you think somebody that's used to exploiting other people is now going to open their arms wide open to somebody who couldn't get a job, yeah, the government's going to make a law that's going to make the illegals go away. But the government's not the one who's going to hire you to paint a house. It's going to be a contractor and a builder. And please believe that they're used to exploiting people, and you're not just going to show up and work for 2 hours and go hit the pipe. These laws of taking jobs from illegals to giving them to regular US citizens actually degrades the value of the American citizen, because now the American citizen is expected to do jobs that they wouldn't have to do before. These laws happen in low income, low expectation states like Florida and Alabama, where people are okay working in a coal mine. I don't see none of my neighbors here where I live in a nice community excited about going cut grass or excited about going to do roofing. They have decent freaking jobs. My neighbors are lawyers, doctors, nurses, police officers. None of my neighbors in the community that I live are excited about jobs in landscaping. Now, if you're excited about going to cut some grass, bless your heart. I can trust a Guatemalan on a job site. I can't trust a Crackamallan. Yeah, man, like, I'll wash your car, bro. Like, dude, we're here to cut palm trees. Leave the guy's car alone. Tell you what, palm trees gonna look like they got a dang mohawk going on. A lot of people are just gonna do stuff themselves and not hire people out. This isn't really gonna create any type of economical opportunity, at least that I want. Like, you want to work in landscaping? No. You want to go over on a roof? Absolutely no. No. So it's not creating any jobs that I want. What I want is a dang burrito. That's what I want to make sure there's enough of them left behind so I can still get a dang burrito, because I like dang burritos. Now, if agriculture fails, what are they going to do with this agricultural land? They're going to rezone it. That this is actually a prime opportunity for them to get rid of this real estate, at prices that they would never be able to get rid of before. I just saw a farmer on the news this morning. What am I going to do with my 50,000 acres now? I don't know what I'm going to do with so much land now. We know what's going to happen to these orange fields and sugarcane fields. Their land will be worth 10 times more if they're able to rezone it. And now they have an excuse to be able to rezone it, because if the agriculture fails, then that won't be a viable industry. They'll be able to rezone these properties. So we're talking Collier County and Palm Beach County, and here you have all this land being used to pick tomatoes and oranges. What do you think their long-term goal is for these orange fields? Palm Beach County to create communities in agricultural land. Expect Collier County to make more Ave Marias out there. And these massive developer projects don't really require a huge number of illegal workers. They work like a conveyor belt. They just need a small team of very skilled people. There's less idle time. There's less time spent transporting, going to job sites. You already are in a job site. So these developers can build larger communities, more houses, more effectively. This is really gonna hurt single family construction of small builders and developers, but the big companies, they're definitely gonna benefit because they're able to manage larger staffs. Basically, what these laws of E-Verify are gonna do is that they're gonna make it more difficult for the small guy, but more advantageous for the big guy. Which again, it's just simply going to mean that the regular working class person who had opportunities to work for themselves or for a small contractor are now going to have to go work for a big developer. And this isn't the first time that this happens in the state of Florida. The cities and counties got their own dump trucks, and then the people that had bought dump trucks and invested lost their investments, lost their dump trucks, and they had to go work for the city and city dump trucks. So this is not like an unprecedented procedure that Florida's done. They know exactly what they're doing. They're crushing the little guy, and they're making it more advantageous for developers and bigger projects, which means that at the end of the day, you're not going to have more opportunities to work for yourself. You're going to be more and increasingly having to go to big developers and larger companies that will be able to manage these new changes better. So I just want to clarify that these new laws and new changes are not meant to make poor people get jobs that pay more. These are meant to rezone agricultural land. These are meant to make sure that developers can have good labor force accessible to them. The notion that poor people have, that this is going to benefit them, is a hilarious one. One, because that's not how it works. And second, because this has already happened in the past and actually led to the working class person being worse off. Tourism. Brazilians, Colombians, Argentinians, Chileans, and a lot of people from Central and South America come to Florida during the summer to take advantage of the lower cost of hotels. And they go to beach resorts, beaches, hotels. Those people are going to be afraid to come visit the state of Florida because they're coming to vacation, but they could be confused with somebody trying to overstay their visa, or who knows what type of complication it may create for them. So it's not really going to be good for beach towns, hotels, and hospitality along the coast, being that Latin American tourists are a huge part of who comes to Florida during the slow season. Those tourists are going to disappear. The people that work in hospitality, waitresses, and people that work along the coast are going to suffer even more during the summer. So if you're from South Florida, you know what time it is. You know what these changes mean because we've seen it happen many times before. 2001, 2007, 2017, so that there can be less home construction, which has driven up real estate prices. They're trying to turn Florida into a California, and this is exactly how that works. You overregulate, you make sure that only the bigger developers can get to do things, and if you make it harder for the little guy, the big guy can make more money. And this is also what's kept California's population from exploding. If California had real estate laws and developing laws like they do in Alabama, there'd be 200 million people there. But by over-regulating an already strict market, they've been able to continue to increase the real estate prices for the rich and property owners, and leaving the working class person so out of touch with income versus housing that many end up homeless. So we can start to see Florida's real estate market start to mirror California's real estate market, where you have higher cost of real estate, higher rents, but incomes just not catching up, making it more unaffordable for the working class person. We've been talking about these changes on our channel for many years, but now they're really streamlining this process to make sure that they can accomplish what they want in a more effective manner. You can also expect the government to come in and buy some of these pieces of land and create areas that are going to be natural areas. And the more natural areas you have, the less population density you have, the more these communities are going to cost, the harder it's going to be for poor people to obtain these new developments. So don't expect these developments that are going to go in to be affordable. Not only are they going to have huge pieces of land available, they're also going to have to make some of these lands be preserved lands. And as we know, the lower the population density in suburban areas, the more the real estate costs. So basically expect Collier County and Palm Beach County to get their own Lakewood ranches, suburban areas with a lot of preserved land and parks. That's what golf courses were about in Florida. If they can put in more golf courses, then they can reduce the population density, driving up the value of single family homes in these developments because land is more scarce. So what developers have been doing is creating these huge shopping plazas with giant parking lots, golf courses that take up a lot of land. And by doing that, they can ensure that whatever real estate is available is going to be more valuable because they've squeezed out the potential of new land hitting the market because they've developed it into areas like golf courses or shopping centers that take up more land than they should. Now you factor in preserved lands because of Florida panther habitat, and they're going to be able to really spread out this population thinly through a vast area. There's also been a lot of talk of a Collier to Polk County highway, adding another interstate or toll road to the state of Florida. Let's now create infrastructure in an area that's depleted of infrastructure so we can have more control of where the development takes place. I think we're going to see larger construction projects. We're going to see rezoning of land. We can expect the rich people to make more money, and we can expect inflation to continue to eat at the core of the poor working class people of South Florida. Something tells me we're going to see announcements for infrastructure and rezoning in South Florida. But hey, that's just my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Only time will tell exactly what will happen. I'm just giving you guys, based on my 20-some years living in Florida, what I've seen happen here is something along those lines.